The IDF's military operations are currently concentrated on countering threats posed by groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, which persist in hostilities regardless of ceasefire agreements. This ongoing conflict raises significant concerns about regional stability. In addition, Iran's attempts to transfer weapons to militia groups in Lebanon have escalated tensions for Israel, prompting a series of military responses and air interceptions. These actions exacerbate the already volatile situation in the region. Furthermore, the United States has assured Israel of support to curb Iranian influence in the area, empowering Israel to respond decisively to perceived threats. This alliance is vital in maintaining regional security. Recent developments have heightened tensions, particularly with terrorist activities emerging near Israeli borders that Israel is actively addressing. This underscores Israel's commitment to safeguarding its national security and fostering regional stability. Moreover, the alliance between the Assad regime, Iran, and Hezbollah creates an increasingly precarious situation for Israel. This relationship complicates military dynamics and escalates potential threats to Israeli security. The involvement of various factions, including jihadists and al-Qaeda affiliates, exemplifies the chaotic landscape of the Syrian conflict. This complexity hampers Israel's ability to identify trustworthy allies. The long-standing absence of significant conflict in Syria since late 2020 contributed to the surprising resurgence of offensive actions by rebel factions. This shift highlights a notable change in the balance of power within the region. Media reports attribute the recent successes of rebels to the substantial damage inflicted on Iranian forces by Israel, illustrating how external interventions shape local confrontations. This scenario reflects the interconnectedness of regional military dynamics. The implications of this renewed conflict are profound, potentially leading to setbacks for Iran and redefining power dynamics as Russia remains a crucial ally. This reality emphasizes the ongoing volatility in Middle Eastern geopolitics. The IDF has effectively established a buffer zone around Jabalia, successfully separating it from Gaza City and hindering terrorist movement. This strategic maneuver significantly enhances regional security. Intelligence assessments indicate that Hamas's operational capabilities are declining, granting Israel increased leverage in conflict negotiations and efforts to ensure the release of hostages. However, remaining Hamas operatives in Jabalia comprise staunch members who refuse to capitulate, resorting to desperate measures such as deploying explosive devices to inflict casualties on IDF soldiers. The IDF strategy encompasses not only clearing areas but also ensuring the complete dismantling of enemy capabilities to deter future assaults. This involves targeting both above-ground and subterranean structures. Moreover, Hamas has heavily invested in military resources, neglecting essential needs of Gaza residents, including food and healthcare. This notable disparity highlights the group's priorities amidst the ongoing conflict. The humanitarian situation is exacerbated by issues such as the theft of aid intended for civilians, complicating efforts to deliver crucial assistance during the conflict. Security concerns have led to the suspension of several aid transfers. International initiatives are currently underway to provide humanitarian aid and supplies to Gaza, coordinated with Israeli authorities in the midst of ongoing conflict. This reflects the intricacies of managing crises in war-torn regions. Discussions surrounding a potential ceasefire suggest a shift in Hamas's leadership strategy, driven by fears of isolation and military pressure from Israel. This development could precipitate significant changes in regional dynamics. Recent operations by the Israeli Defense Forces have resulted in the seizure of weapons in Judea and Samaria, underscoring the persistent security threats faced by Israeli forces. This highlights the ongoing challenges in maintaining stability. The Syrian conflict has engaged various nations, including Iraq, the UAE, Russia, and Iran, all of whom have vested interests in its outcome. Their involvement significantly complicates the dynamics on the ground. Recently, rebels launched a major offensive, successfully capturing Aleppo, a pivotal development in the Syrian civil war. This counteroffensive has intensified pressure on the Syrian government. The roots of the Syrian civil war date back to the Arab Spring protests in 2011, which ignited widespread dissent against the Assad regime. Understanding this historical backdrop is essential for grasping the current escalation. In the northeast, the US has supported Kurdish forces, while Turkey has aligned with rebel forces in the north. This multifaceted conflict has significantly altered the balance of power. Meanwhile, Assad's regime, bolstered by Russia and Iran, continues to target opposition areas, worsening the refugee crisis. This situation holds critical implications for Turkey's domestic politics and public sentiment. Negotiations towards a final settlement have become more complicated by Turkey's military presence in Syria, which Assad insists must be addressed. This dynamic could prompt shifts in alliances and strategies among these nations. Amidst this backdrop, the Turkish government faces mounting pressure due to the rising number of Syrian refugees, presenting political challenges for President Erdogan's administration. The ongoing offensive by rebel forces has resulted in substantial territorial gains, particularly the capture of Aleppo, heightening concerns regarding regional stability. The involvement of external powers, notably Russia and the United States, adds layers of complexity to the conflict, shaping military strategies on both sides. HTS, classified as a foreign terrorist organization by the US, leads assaults against Kurdish forces, seeking to broaden its influence in Syria. This group has a contentious history linked to al-Qaeda. The potential collapse of Assad carries implications beyond Syria, affecting the broader Middle East landscape and the geopolitical stances of major players like Russia and Turkey. Turkey's involvement could transform the power dynamics in Syria, as the downfall of Assad may enable Turkey to enhance its influence, reminiscent of its historical ties to the Ottoman Empire. With Assad's decline, Iran would lose a vital ally in Syria, disrupting its supply routes to Hezbollah and weakening its regional influence. Such a scenario poses a significant challenge for Iran's military strategy. The diminishing position of Hezbollah raises alarms about a potential power vacuum in Lebanon, which could lead to increased civil unrest and the resurgence of jihadi groups, escalating tensions between Israel and Lebanon. Finally, Assad's fall could embolden Sunni jihadist factions in Iraq, raising the possibility of an Islamic State resurgence and amplifying terrorism across the region, thereby further destabilizing Iraq.